So it gives me a great opportunity to introduce, I can hear myself, sorry, excuse us, there's an echo. Can I continue? Francesco, I think there's an echo on your computer.
Okay, yeah.
So just excuse us for a few minutes.
Done.
Okay, cool. I need to just, so I'm just going to introduce him quickly before he starts. So Professor Francesco Petruccione is a physicist and academic leader, the professor of physics at Stellenbosch University since May 2024. He has been appointed as the director for the National Institute for Theoretical and Computational Sciences. He pursued his undergraduate studies in physics at the University of Freiburg in Germany, and then continued this, with the same institution where he earned his doctorate in 1988 and the habilitation degree in 1994. In 2004, he was appointed as professor of theoretical physics at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. A year later, of course, he was awarded the Innovation Fund grant to establish a Center for Quantum Technology. And Professor Petruccione then went on to hold the position of South African Research Chair for Quantum Information, Processing and Communication Technology in 2007. So in addition to his role as the director for NITheCS, he also held an adjunct professorship at the Korean Advanced Institute for Science and Technology. And then, of course, in 2018, he was appointed to be Pro-Vice Chancellor of Big Data and Informatics at UKZN. So 4 years later, of course, he then moved to join us here at Stellenbosch University as Professor of Physics and Quantum Computing in the Physics Department and the School for Data Science and Computational Thinking. Professor Petruccione is a member of the Academy of Science of South Africa and a fellow of the Royal Society of South Africa. So in 2003, he was honored with the title of Order of the Star of Italy for his work in physics and quantum computing. So I think at that point you should clap because that's a big honor for some of you may not know. So I want to thank Professor Francesco Petruccione for really taking up this role to lead NITheCS into the next phase. I think one of the things that we asked him was to think about, 5 years from now, what will he say was the success of NITheCS when he looks back? And I think we are also interested in understanding that. So I just want to welcome him again to give us, maybe share the way forward in terms of the future of NITheCS, of where we are and then where we are going. After he has spoken, of course, we'll have a discussion and take a few questions. So can I hand over to you? Thank you so much. Please welcome our speaker.
Thank you very much, Sigo, for the very nice and long introduction, probably longer than my talk. And thank you very much to all of you for joining. I know it's the gap between the semesters, so many people have probably better things to do than to listen to me. But as you will see, we are a little bit under time pressure, and that's why I wanted to use the opportunity to share a few things about NITheCS. I will probably in the next half an hour or so, probably give you an overview of the NITheCS consortium, of where NITheCS is placed worldwide, yeah? What we are planning or what we are supposed to start planning about the NITheCS research, and I will have to rely upon some of you that are here and online, yeah? And a brief overview of things that we do. Yeah? I would like to start by showing a video, but as usual, there's audio doesn't work, so let me skip it. It was a little video of Elon Musk speaking about NITheCS, yeah? But for some reason, I don't know, it doesn't pick up the audio. Anyway, let's, I can't assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about, yeah? So let me start with a little bit of history. Back in 2008, DSI or DST at the time and NRF started the National Institute for Theoretical Physics. Yeah, this was followed an international panel that reviewed the status of physics in South Africa, and one of the recommendations was to do something for theoretical physics, and NITEP was born. Yeah? And NITEP at the time was a consortium of 3 universities, Stellenbosch, that hosted the hub of NITHEC, WITS, and UKZN. And over the years, NITHEC was quite successful, but for some accident of history, it was managed as a center of excellence by NRF. And as some of you know here, centers of excellence, after 3 times 5 years, there is a sunset clause that kicks in, and unless they're sustainable, they slowly die out. Yeah? But NITHEC was successful, and a plan was put in place to save it. And if you can't survive small, there is maybe a chance that you can survive big. Yeah? And back in 2019, yeah, a document was produced, the one here on the right, to assess whether the scientific case could be made for a bigger institute that doesn't cover only theoretical physics, but also other disciplines. Yeah? This case was approved by the minister, that the possibly old minister, we will find out probably very soon. Yeah? And then a roadmap was developed by essentially the same group of people and by myself, because at the time I was already the interim director of what was supposed to become NITheCS. Yeah? And so NITheCS was born, yeah? Or at least created. And the idea behind NITheCS is that it would be a national research institute, and it turns out to be one of the first national research institutes according to the new National Research Institute policies of DSI. Yeah? And the idea is that it should rest upon 4 pillars: research, of course, training, engagement, and Africa. And all 4 pillars, according to the designers of NITheCS, should have the same strength. What makes NITheCS really different now is that it's not only theoretical physics, it's 8 different topics. Yeah? And in the language of NRF and DSI, it's a multidisciplinary and multi-teamed institute. Yeah? So it's disciplines from basic sciences, theoretical physics, mathematics, statistics, astronomy, and quantitative biology, and teams, quantitative finance, earth systems and climate change modeling, and data science. Yeah? And all live together under the same roof. Yeah? And you see, in the way we describe it, it's important that they all converge towards something common in the center. Yeah? And I like to describe NITheCS, instead of a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary institute, as an undisciplinary institute. Yeah? Which doesn't mean that it is undisciplined, yeah? But in which disciplines maybe play a role, but maybe not a decisive role. At the same time, if you look at the UNESCO website, in which open science is defined, yeah, and you read the definition, I won't read it now, you can do it quickly, you will see that the definition of open science describes fairly accurately what NITheCS wants to do. Yeah? So open science, in all its aspects, will play a crucial role in everything that NITheCS does. Yeah? We want everything to be in the open, so to say. Yeah? Translated in a more local way of describing, yeah? NITheCS will be kind of a village, yeah? In which everybody pulls together to raise the next generation of science. Yeah? This is what NITheCS wants to do. Yeah? Just to come to an end of the introduction, it's also very important to stress what NITheCS is not. Yeah? And this is very, very important to DSI and NRF. NITheCS is not a funding agency. It's not a mini NRF. Yeah? So NITheCS really needs to characterize itself as a research institute. And I will describe it just now. So, sorry, who is NITheCS? Yeah? As I mentioned, we started this transition from NITHEC to NITheCS more than 4 years ago. Yeah? NITheCS was, as an institute, was mentioned for the first time in April 2020, and that was, if you remember, the first week of the hard COVID lockdown. Yeah? That's when we started the transition from NITHEC to NITheCS. Yeah? And eventually, just a few months ago, we started getting rid of all the interim structures. Yeah? And the final step was the appointment of a proper director. Yeah? That would be me. Yeah? That's what, for 4 years, I was a kind of virtual director. Now I'm the substantive director, yeah? Whatever that means. So NITheCS is a consortium back in March last year, Stellenbosch University submitted a proposal for the establishment of a NITheCS consortium. It was a consortium of all universities in the country and aims minus 2 universities that for whatever reason didn't support the consortium. Yeah? But now we are in the process of reaching out to them and bring them back in the NITheCS, or bring them in the NITheCS family. So if you give a close look, you can find out who is missing at the moment. So we started with 3 universities back in 2023. That was Stellenbosch, the UKZN, and BITS. And now we added 5 nodes, yeah, the different colors. Instead of 3 nodes, we have 5, yeah. 1 in the Western Cape, 1 across Eastern Cape and the Free State, 1 in KwaZulu-Natal, 1 in Gauteng, and 1 in essentially in the rest, yeah. And 2 universities are missing, and we will bring them in as soon as possible as well. So if you think of a consortium of more than 26 institutions, it's clear that the complexity grows quadratically. Yeah, with 3 nodes, it's fairly easy. With 5, it's still nice to connect everybody with everybody. But with 26, it becomes a little bit more complicated. Yeah? That's why we decided to propose this structure for NITheCS. Now we have 5 nodes, and each node is composed by a certain number of branches. Now we stole the terminology from the banking sector, yeah? But we didn't come up with anything better. Yeah? And the hub is in Stellenbosch. Yeah? So we have the Western Cape node, the Gauteng node, the North node, Eastern Cape and Free State node, and KwaZulu-Natal. Yeah? So on average, there are 4 or 5 nodes per, 4 or 5 branches per node. Yeah? So this is how we plan to be at. Yeah? And this is also what will be reflected in the legal consortium agreement that we are close to finalize. So when NITheCS at its height had around 70 associates, and now we have already more than 300. Yeah. So over the last 3-4 years, we've grown substantially the number of research associates. And as you see, theoretical physics doesn't have the majority anymore. So in the NITheCS parliament, theoretical physics needs to do coalitions. Yeah? So we have a NITheCS parliament of unity. Yeah. As you see, some disciplines jumped quickly on the NITheCS train. Some we need to encourage a little bit more, but I'm very hopeful that the equilibration will look even more equally distributed going forward. Yeah. Geographically, you see there are really 2 big concentrating points of NITheCS associates in the Western Cape and in Gauteng. Yeah. So that's how the situation was a few months ago. For this reason, just to give you a taste of the way NITheCS operates, yeah. As I mentioned before, we started in the hard lockdown, so we embraced from the beginning the online world. Yeah, all our webinars, seminars were online. Yeah, now that we are back at the office, we try to do everything hybrid, like we are doing here today. Yeah, I'm here in Stellenbosch, but we have, I don't remember how many participants, around 454, that are joining us online from wherever they are. Yeah, but where we want to go is in this setup. Yeah, this is a slide that illustrates the summer school that we organized since 2020 together with the CHPC. Yeah, and it's a summer school that has 2 parts. The first one is essentially run by the CHPC, and they do Linux and Python, yeah, for students. And we do introduction to scientific computing using Python. Yeah? And you see, until 2021, it was in person, yeah, so we could reach maybe 40, 50 students. 2022, we did it online, yeah, for the first time, purely online. In 2023 and 2024, we adopted a hybrid format. Yeah, so we collect the students at venues at their own respective universities, yeah, for instance, Stellenbosch, at UKZN, at Wits, and so on. We had around 30 venues, and we reached 800 plus students in one go. Yeah? We provide also the tutors so that the students have a little bit of the peer-to-peer learning experience, and we try to have the best of the two worlds. Yeah? And this is a model that works very well, yeah? And that we want to refine even more going forward. As I said, everything we do, we record. There are just 1 or 2 talks that are not recorded because the speaker didn't want to. but essentially, everything is online, and we are close to reaching 100,000 views in YouTube. Yeah? Which is more impressive is that we have actually almost 10,000 hours of people actually watching our videos. Yeah? And that's a lot of watching. Yeah? So that seems to work as well, very well. As I said, NITheCS is hosted by Stellenbosch University, so we need a home, yeah? And the home will be in a wing of the physics department. That the entrance has already been renovated, and the offices will look something like that in this left wing of the physics department. And hopefully before the end of the year, that will also be completed, and we'll be able to maybe to have the odd webinar in our new seminar room as well. How will we run NITheCS? Yeah? Yeah, according to the roadmap, of course, DSI and RF are our executive authority. We will have a steering committee that is in the process of being established, a scientific advisory board, same. And we agreed that we'll have a stakeholder committee in which all the DVC research, all the DVC research, and so on and so forth, all other possible stakeholders, once a year we will meet with them and get report back to them and get their feedback as well. Yeah. The director and others will operate in the executive management committee, which also gets inputs from the associates, from the nodes, and from the research focus. According to the roadmap, we should have a head of research, head of training, head of engagement, which we don't have at the moment because the budget doesn't allow yet, so that we operate at the moment just with the heads of the nodes, the management committee of. And we have also an associate representative who is based in Stellenbosch, but I think he's not here at the moment. Yeah. Just to give you a taste of opportunities that NITheCS is trying to build on a global scale. Yeah? NITheCS aims, the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, is part of NITheCS so that we can tap into the AIMS network, and that opens up a few nice links in Africa. Yeah? Since almost 2 years ago, we have an MOU with ICTP, International Center for Theoretical Physics, based in Trieste, and ICTP has partner institute in South America, in Rwanda, and in China. So this opens up other opportunities. And what is really very important is that as part of our MOU with ICTP, not just a nice piece of paper, there is funding attached to it that allows South African researchers to visit ICTP and the other direction. Yeah, so if you see interesting activities as ICTP, apply for them. There is a ring fence funding from DSI for us to go and take part. Yeah. Last year, NITheCS also joined a cluster of research excellence around AI and computational sciences, which is an initiative of ARUA and the Guild. Yeah, it's ARUA is the African Research University Association, and the Guild is a similar association of European universities. And this is a network of a dozen universities, 5 or so in Europe, and the rest in Africa, and that gives us also very nice opportunities tap into European funding, because the Guild and ARUA are very keen to these clusters of research excellence to access funding, mainly from the European Union. So these are also very important links going forward, because funding is unfortunately never enough. Now to the really important part. Yeah? At the moment, in the interim phase, we supported these research programs that you see here, and to develop these research programs, we adopted a mixture of a bottom-up and top-down approach. Yeah? Because what is very important to remember is that NITheCS appoints only one scientist, yeah? And that's me. So I can't do that all on my own. Yeah? So all other research associates in NITheCS are appointed by their own universities. Yeah? So we need to find tools to let them work together. Yeah? So when we came up with these research programs during the interim phase, we asked people to come up with suggestions, many more suggestions than these came up, and then top down, we tried to cluster them in a reasonable amount of research. Yeah? And now we have been tasked by DSI and NRF to come up with the real research programs of NITheCS, not the interims anymore, yeah? Which should also be called focus areas. Yeah? And the idea is to really to aim high, yeah, and to really develop research programs that solve South African global challenges, and that have a significant impact. Yeah. So the idea is to be inspired by things like the Sustainable Development Goals, yeah, and really try to pick out a handful or maybe a few more questions where we really want to make a difference. Yeah? You know, you don't need to go very far, yeah, and be too creative. Yeah? If you read this out of a chapter in a book that I think I literally co-edited, yeah, not so long ago, yeah, and if you read there's a sentence, random sentence out of the abstract of this chapter, yeah, you see that we really need to do something, yeah, because it can get very hot in some part of South Africa if we don't do something. If you don't develop kind of sustainable approaches through computational and theoretical methods. You know, other things that these are just some random suggestions. I don't want to say this will be the research program. We need to develop them, and I will show you just now how we will do that. Yeah, just a week ago, Dr. Mark Nazila, who is the Chief Risk Officer of RMB, yeah, published this very nice book, African Artificial Intelligence. Yeah? And it's really an impressive book that addresses all the aspects in which artificial intelligence needs to make an impact in Africa. Yeah? And he also describes how Africa could be the prototype for uses of artificial intelligence that other countries and nations and continents have not yet explored. I've not yet finished the book yet because quite thick, but it's really worthwhile reading. And Mark was a member of the interim steering committee of NITheCS, and I think he's also a research associate of Stellenbosch, the School of Data Science and Computational Thinking. Yeah, another, sorry, I just do random things that interest me now. Yeah, trend in science and technology that we can't avoid is quantum computing. Yeah, because you know, if you maybe most of you have followed the share price of NVIDIA, yeah, that is just increased exponentially. Yeah, but that is not sustainable because to run all these GPUs, you need a lot of electricity. You probably can't build enough solar panels, keep going. Yeah? So you need really to explore opportunities for other computational paradigms that allow you to do the same stuff, but using less energy. Yeah? And quantum computing is one potential candidate. Yeah? Just to give you an example of impactful research program, I've been involved for some time now with GESTA, which is the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator, yeah, which is a Geneva-based organization that tries to develop briefs on technology that might impact us in the near future, 5, 10, 15 years from now. Yeah? And out of this engagement came the idea to set up an Open Quantum Institute, yeah, which is now a reality in Geneva. It's based at CERN. And the aim of this Open Quantum Institute is to give access to quantum computing to countries like South Africa that haven't bought yet a quantum computer. Yeah? And in order to motivate potential funders, yeah, we are exploring test cases to demonstrate that quantum computing can actually solve problems that classical computers can't. And I'm involved with Professor Vincenzo Savona from EPFL and others in trying to model on quantum computers a sustainable food systems, yeah? Which means these are models that involve everything, yeah, from geographic parameters, climate parameters, soil parameters, calories per day, yeah. So really complicated models, and we try to put them on quantum computers and hopefully be able to show that they can do something that other computers can't do. Yeah, so these are the kind of problems that we need to look for. So the task between now and November, yeah, that's why it was important to have this talk today, yeah, is really, and this is the homework that we've been assigned by NRF and DSI, is to develop impactful 5-year research programs for NITheCS. Yeah? And as I said, these need to be a bottom-up and top-down approach. Yeah? So that we started now in June 24, to have first sharing of first ideas, but in July, we will have a series of workshops, online, hybrid, person, yeah, to start working on potential research programs. Yeah? So that hopefully by October, we will be able to present them to the scientific advisory board. They will give us some feedback so that by end of November, they will be integral part of the next 5-year business plan. Yeah? Because the more impact our research program will have, the greater the funding might be. Yeah, so there is really an incentive to do it properly. Yeah, so this is something where I really need to pick into all your brains. Yeah, because it needs to be really an organic development of something really impactful and ambitious. NITheCS is essentially, as I said, a research institute, but training and engagement are also very important because, you know, I told you at the beginning that I look at NITheCS as the village that raises the next generation of scientists. Yeah? And one of the things that NITheCS started doing already a couple of years is the NITheCS South African Theory and Computational School. Yeah? And here the idea is to offer honors and master course level courses on the model of the summer school in a hybrid fashion, yeah? So that students attend the lectures at their own university and together with their peers. Yeah? And the challenge here is that we would like, of course, to develop a mechanism so that the students can also get credits at their own institution for attending maybe an honors course that their own institution doesn't offer in that year. Yeah? And this is an objective that is very similar to what the National Graduate Academy in Mathematics and Statistical Sciences does. Yeah? They have a similar approach. Yeah? And that's why we are trying to bring the two schools or academies together, yeah, so that we don't duplicate any work, and maybe we're trying to develop even maybe lobby power with the university to put in place a system of mutual credit recognition. Yeah? That will be a very big step to fast track the production of masters and PhD students. Yeah? Under engagement, you know, we have lots of events, yeah, more than fit on one slide. Yeah, every Monday we have the colloquium, but we have lots of webinars that started in quantum physics, but now we have lots of webinars in theoretical physics, mathematics, statistics, and so on and so forth. Monthly, we have a mini school, so every month, the Wednesday afternoon is devoted to a topic, yeah, typically a series of 4 or 5 lectures, double lectures, depending on the months. We have a partnership with the Carpentries, which is a non-governmental, an NGO as well, that whose aim is to promote the use of scientific programming. Yeah? So every month we organize schools in Python for bioinformatics, Python for libraries, Python for that. Yeah? With the cluster of research excellence, we started master classes. I think the next one will be probably next month. Yeah, once a month. We have programs of mentorship in various aspects, and our yearly summer school internship programs, and so on and so on. Yeah. This month we started what we now want to call the micro schools, yeah, which are really 20 minutes, and some of the lecturers are sitting in this room. Yeah? Snippets of 20 minutes dedicated to some hardcore skills that people need, yeah? Like how to use Matplotlib, how to use LaTeX, how to use Visual Studio Code, how to use, I don't know, the next one, I don't remember what it is, but we have one this week as well. Yeah, and we want to build upon it and keep going every week, offering at least one micro school to some skills. Yeah, and during the first, we did the poll in Zoom asking that is a good concept, and the resonance was huge. People came up with lots of ideas what they would like to see. Yeah, so if you have some particular skills, in particular the younger people here in the audience, please send us an email and you will be on the program. Yeah, yeah, coming to an end. And then we will have some time for questions. Yeah? I stated at the beginning that open science is critical to the success of NITheCS. Yeah? Everything we do needs to be open access, open data, open source, open, you name it, yeah? Open infrastructure. Yeah, yeah. So we really need to embrace open science, because at the core of NITheCS is just, since we operate with a distributed network of researchers at all universities in the country, we need to have really open communication channels. Yeah? And that's why we provide every NITheCS associates, every NITheCS bursary holder with a NITheCS email address, because we made a deal with Google to have access to Google Workspace. So once you have the NITheCS email address, you can access a lot of things that it makes it easy to communicate and chat with Google Chat. Everybody's in the system. Yeah? And this we did because we want to encourage collaboration. We want to make it as easy as possible for a NITheCS associate to find another NITheCS associate. Yeah? And we will keep working on making it more free. Yeah? I can't stress enough that we really need to apply our minds to see how can we, out of this network of distributed associates, extract impactful science. Yeah? You know, I learned now over this 4-year interim period that NITheCS associates are a little like cats. Yeah? And there is only one way to move them toward the one goal, and that is to feed them. Yeah, and the food that researchers want is in terms of tools to do better research. Yeah, so we really need to find a way to get there. And of course, I mentioned at the beginning, NITheCS is a village that should allow us to raise the next generation of scientists, because we have a lot of transformation still to do and achieve. Also important, and that is why I added a few slides on the global ties of NITheCS, is sustainability. We get some funding from DSI and NRF, but they will never be enough to do what we are supposed to do. So it's really important that as NITheCS, we look for funding opportunities together. And that's it. So thank you very much. If you have questions, welcome to ask that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Francesco. So I don't know if there are questions from the floor and even online. Maybe you can check online. Yeah, but I think I can start with a question just from my side. Thank you so much for the presentation. But I wanted to ask around the, so we are focusing on a number of disciplines, and you've probably defined them as the Institute of being undisciplinary. So how are we going to measure our impact in terms of the areas that we are focusing on? So let's say a few years later, what will be our measure of impact? Let's say we know that currently South Africa, in terms of the maths and science performance, we still have a number of areas where we need to develop additional skills. According to the data we have, it says that we don't have enough people in critical skills areas. So what do you see as the director for NITheCS? How are we going, when I say, because we are all part of this network, what is going to be our critical measure? How do we know what we should focus on in which disciplines? And yeah, I do see the importance of bringing different disciplines together to allow collaboration, which is great because we know different disciplines don't talk to each other. But what is our contribution to the skills base in the math science area within South Africa?
I don't think there is just one figure that we can measure, because it's really a 360-degree attack. And that's why it's important that NITheCS focus on research, training, and engagement, because we need to start from the kindergarten and make sure that they become professor or get important jobs in industry or business or whatever. That's why we started with mini school. Every month we do training events, and now we add also the skills events. One battle that we still need to win, which is very critical, is that at the moment, because of the rules of the game, it's very difficult to align the NITheCS bursary holders with the research. We need to streamline that, so that once we have impactful, whatever impactful means, research programs, our NITheCS bursary holders, and there are lots of them, need to be integral part of that. So that they need to be the glue that brings everything together. And it would be very nice if, for instance, we also move towards PhD students, master students that are co-supervised at different universities, at different nodes of NITheCS, and different branches of NITheCS, to bring together the community. One point that is fairly obvious looking at the South African university system is that there's not enough mobility within. So NITheCS need to fight that battle as well, and make sure that there is more mobility between universities, more diffusion of PhD students, of post-PhD students, post-PhD researchers across the various universities, to make the field a little bit more uniform. And
do we have any other questions from the audience? Yes, any questions from the audience? Don't feel scared. You can ask any question. Yes, thank you very much. You just need to say your name and then the question. I know this is the School for Climate Studies, so it would be interesting to see. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Francesco, for an interesting talk. Guy Midgley, Acting Director of the School for Climate Studies here at Stellenbosch. I think an interesting aspect of NITheCS is how it's positioned in the national development trajectory. And, what kind of role an institution like this can play depends very much on the context. So if we look at some previous examples of choices that are made at national level, East Germany versus West Germany in the 60s, 70s, very divergent choices made, very divergent outcomes. North Korea, South Korea, very different choices made, very divergent outcomes. And the role of science, entrepreneurship, results in very different outcomes, not always good in the so-called better country because of high inequality and those sorts of things. So I think that can evolve in these more entrepreneurial settings. South Africa is really pursuing fourth industrial revolution issues, AI, things like that. How do you see NITheCS contributing to setting the agenda for achieving the kind of good outcomes plus the good equality outcomes as well, and avoiding the adverse outcomes that we see so often?
Yeah. Oh, it's it's easy and complicated. If you look at the countries that you mentioned and how some developed and some maybe did not develop so well, yeah. Let's take the example of countries like South Korea. Yeah? They developed astronomically, yeah, because they put all their resources in the semiconductor industry. Yeah, they realized that there was a new trend, the 70s, yeah, a new technological revolution, if you want, yeah, and they invested heavily, yeah, 100%, and they changed the economic trajectory of their country. In Africa, we missed that completely. Yeah, there is no semiconductor industry. There's nothing that is really relevant and could have that impact. Yeah, and now there are again, you mentioned fourth industrial. There are other revolutions coming. Yeah, there is the AI. Revolution is a strong word. Yeah, it's always more of a fast evolution. Yeah? AI. Yeah, if we miss that opportunity, it will be missed. Yeah, yeah. I promote quantum computing because that's another technological revolution that will affect us. If you look at how much countries like the US, Japan, Korea invest, it's billions of dollars. Yeah, the big digital companies, yeah, invest billions. They have teams. There are not so many physicists in the science faculty. There are many academics in the science faculty, like they invest in quantum computing resource funds. Yeah? So that's the role that NITheCS has, yeah? to make aware that there are trends that we need to follow, yeah? And try to find the niche that is relevant for us. We can't compete on all fronts. We need to find our niche and put our resources in there and lobby together with government, industry, and so on and so forth. For instance, again, the case that I know best, the quantum technology case. You need to lobby with universities. You need to lobby with government. And you need to lobby with industry because they also, are a little bit of an inertial system. That it takes a while to jump on the train. But again.
Thank you so much for that, Professor Francesco.
Please.
Can I ask, so is there anybody from physics here, the physics department? Cool. So can I ask you, so when you hear this presentation about the National Institute of Theoretical and Computational Sciences, I mean, what would you say is the benefit of physics or physics students, or what's your experience? Can you tell us something about that? So who wants to go for it?
Yeah, I'll try it. So, I just to clarify, I'm a postdoc in physics. So, at least for me, I think one of the key roles of NITheCS, so what Professor Petruccione emphasized was the disciplinary aspect of it. So so as before it was just for theoretical physics, now it's encompassing, data science, climate science, everything. So I think that it's still in its early stages, but where I have no role in NITheC in terms of in terms of affecting its direction. But what would be good to see is bringing people together from different faculties, treating people as though they're a single cohort. So not just having students in physics, not just having students in maths and statistics, but having a cohort of people that will interact. And NITheC does that, so it has lots of events. As we can see here, I think there's quite a few people from different disciplines. It takes time to do, but I think that it's going in the right direction.
Thank you for that, Francesco. I don't know if you want to comment, but I think so. The comments, I guess, are also related to, in some fields we know, like physics, and I think in the physical sciences and some of the engineering, we see less representation from students from let's say, women, and then other fields as well, other sort of from our groups of students from traditionally not well-resourced schools. So how do you see NITheC playing this role in not only connecting disciplines, but also encourage students who would normally not be encouraged to be to go into physics, for example, these other fields where they can make a contribution?
By making the NITheC research interesting, and that getting them involved from the stage. There is no rule against involving undergraduate students in this approach. And once you have them, you just don't let them go. That's why I still insist on the idea of the village. Everybody needs to pull together, solve these issues. There is nobody that can do it on his own. It's really a complex system. Yeah, please.
Yes. Yes.
And while Guy gets there is another mic.
Can you check online if we have some people who are online?
Can I give it to you?
You have one person? Can we? Okay, we just need to check that out.
It's a physics and astronomy question. The standard model of physics is in flux. Looks like it might be wrong. String theory seems to be junk. Even the James Webb Telescope is starting to stress out the theory, the Big Bang theory and the origin of the universe. I mean, physics, astronomy is in a massive state of flux. What do you think of that? And what's South Africa's role in that? Is this an opportunity to really encourage a new generation of African scientists to get involved in a field where the old guys have obviously, messed quite a few things up, as far as I can see?
I know it's a wonderful opportunity. And we are lucky that we have the biggest astrophysics experiment in house. So we have an advantage, a geographical advantage. Many people, the data are here. And we need we have a kind of first right of use, if you want. We need to use them and try to come up with new ideas. And the fact that nobody knows exactly where the inconsistencies, the measurement of the Hubble constant come from, what is dark matter, what is dark energy. That's fantastic, because it means that we know nothing. And if we know nothing, there are certainly low-hanging fruits, that young people can solve. We are probably too much primed by old thinking to come up with something new. But young people like this gentleman here, and some ladies here as well, they have the potential of doing that. That's fantastic. But to go back to the question of CIBU, I see NITheC, and I had a discussion with many people on this, which originally wanted us to use the word platform to describe what NITheC is. I don't think it's the right description, because it's more of an ecosystem, which is very difficult to steer. There are so many players, but you need to get the boundary conditions right. for the system to start working on its own. You can't steer it in detail because it's too complicated. Yeah? But you need to create the conditions to try, yeah? Like you can do with an ecosystem. That in my head is how I see NITheCS. Not something that I control, yeah? And I can't. Yeah? By definition, I can't. Yeah? But something where I try to, sorry, okay, sorry. I don't have eyes at the back yet. Yeah? Yeah, that you create the conditions for it to get its own life, yeah? and growing. Yeah?
Hi, can you, yeah, you can hear. So we had a question from an online participant. So apologies if I mispronounced their name. So we, Sobo Razak has two questions. So the first is, how much is the industry involvement in South Africa developing AI or quantum computing?
Yeah, the answer is probably very simple, not at all. Yeah, as far as I know. And that's what, I mentioned it before, that we have to lobby not only within university and not only with government, but also with industry, yeah, and make it attractive to them to invest. Yeah?
And okay, there's a follow-up question to that from the same participant. They just said, are they collaborating with NITheCS? But I assume the answer to that is no, if there isn't any. No.
There are some that showed some interest and come to some of the workshops and conferences that we have organized, but I don't think we can say that they are actively doing research or development along those lines. Huh? It's more at an exploratory kind of stage.
Hear me on this one. Yes. Okay, that's better. So yeah, just to add to what Francesco says. So one of the things we have to do, and I think generally even universities, the collaborations with industry in terms of research, development, it's not very, it's not as it should be actually, because even when we look at joint publications, one of the measures that we use with industry partners for Stellenbosch, for example, is still maybe below 3% with industry partners. There's a lot of course, technical reports and so forth, but I think it's an area where we need to also build that. So I think the new NITheCS maybe is one of the areas where we can also increase that focus in terms of collaboration and trying to build those networks. I saw there was a question here. Did you have a question? You gave me the mic. Do you have a question? No? Thank you. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, online, is there anyone else online? Can you check for us, please?
I believe there was one raised hand.
Yes, if we can read the question, please.
Was that the person that asked the question? Okay, then I
Oh,
think.
that's the same one. Okay, cool.
Hi, so there was also another question from a participant. So they say, does NITheCS offer webinars within the quantitative finance space under the mathematics weekly webinars, or is it applied mathematics and pure mathematics?
Yes, the answer here is yes. Yes. We have a very active quantitative finance group, yeah? And they have organized many webinars, and conferences, and workshops. Yeah? So that maybe the again to encourage everyone to subscribe to our mailing list, yeah? So that we can bombard you with emails of things that we can just go on the website and do that. Yeah?
Quick question, what is your Elon Musk video
how great
Use the mic
is
so that the person online hears. Wait.
How great NITheCS is. I can show it to you later. I don't know, for some reason it doesn't share the sound from the computer.
Okay, but it can be shared with the audience,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So they can watch. Okay, cool. All right. Are there any more questions? If there are no questions, it's 2 minutes before 4 p.m.
5.
Before 5, sorry. I was in a meeting the whole day, so I was trying to make it go away quickly, but sorry about that. So we have 2 minutes, a minute now before 5, according to my watch. Any more questions? Yes, please.
We have one online participant that's raised their hand.
Yes,
So I unmute them. I think you should be able to talk. So whoever raised their hand online should be able to talk now.
Thank you very much. So I just wanted to know, thank you for the talk very much. Thank you very much for the talk. But I just also wanted to know, is the AI just in particular to social sciences or for things like robotics and engineering? Because I think also that's a field that we need to explore, especially with regards to the fourth and the fifth industrial revolution. So you cannot, like, I think that we must include it as well. So I just wanted to know, are there any plans on doing that, as well as maybe quantum robotics, perhaps?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. No, AI is centrally at the core of many of the things that NITheCS does in many aspects. And already one of our interim research programs is about machine learning for the physical sciences or something like that. Yeah, so that's critical. Yeah. Robotics and things like that are not yet critical for NITheCS because we are a basic sciences institute and not an engineering one. Yeah, but having said that, the boundaries are probably fluid. Yeah, but it depends of the people that join NITheCS and the expertise that we develop together. Yeah, but AI is definitely central to most of the things that we do. Yeah?
Okay, any other questions? So yeah, so I think it's time up. So I just want to, can we thank Francesco again for this presentation and really for, allowing us to engage with you. But again, the appeal is to encourage you to join us as part of the NITheCS network for those online and also here, and also to acknowledge the role of the National Research Foundation and the Department of Science and Innovation, for the investment. So we encourage all of us online and here to collaborate, to work together. It also gives us a chance to meet others and also to leverage opportunities for applying for joint grants. As you know, resources for research, and even though NITheCS did declare that they don't aim to be a funding agency, but you know that without research funds, it is difficult to achieve many things. We do need the funding for students. We need the funding for visiting fellows to promote actually the collaboration. And so the opportunity to leverage more funding through joint grants is important. So yeah, we encourage you to join the network in whichever form that you can, and to reach out and also to subscribe on as a member of NITheCS. So can we just clap and give a hand to Professor Francesco for